Okay, good morning class, welcome back. Today we shall be doing the last part of the first chapter and we shall be doing the remaining four kingdoms. Now we were learning about after the decline of the Mughal Empire, there were a few kingdoms which were initially independent. Then again Aurangzeb, after fighting wars with all these kingdoms, had captured the kingdoms, okay, to his territory, and he declared himself the emperor of all these places. Now after the death of Aurangzeb, when the later Mughals started ruling, the Mughal dynasty started becoming weak, so these kingdoms started becoming independent. They started declaring themselves as independent. So now let us begin with Owadh. The Owadh province of the Mughal Empire constituted mostly of the present-day Uttar Pradesh. Now in 1722, Sadat Khan became the governor of Owadh under the Mughals. Now Sadat Khan, he became the governor of Owadh under the Mughals, but he was paying allegiance. That means he was paying taxes to the Mughal Empire. Now his kingdom Owadh was extremely rich because under his constituency or under his kingdom, the Ganga Yamuna Doab, that means the river Ganga and Yamuna, these rivers flowed through Owadh, the kingdom of Owadh, and you know that the river Ganga and Yamuna plains are extremely fertile. So this fertility of the land allowed people to carry out agricultural activities. There was plenty of water. The sediments brought down by the rivers, by the river Ganga and river Yamuna, were extremely fertile. So that is why the amount of revenue collected from these areas through different agricultural activity was extremely high. Okay, so because of this reason, he was able, the Sadat Khan, the governor of Owadh, was able to pay taxes or pay revenue to the Mughal Empire. But after the death of Aurangzeb, when the later Mughals started ruling and when the Britishers started entering India, Sadat Khan and his kingdom also came under the British Empire. So, however, the later Nawabs fell prey to fell victim to the British conspiracy, and gradually Owadh passed into the hands of the British. Now Hyderabad also became a part of the Mughal Empire in 1678 during the reign or the rule of Aurangzeb. So Hyderabad as a kingdom was also annexed to the Mughal Empire by Aurangzeb. But when the later Mughals started becoming weak, Nizam-ul-Mulk of Hyderabad, the ruler of Hyderabad, declared his independence. That means he declared his independence from the Mughal Empire, and then he founded the Asaf Jah dynasty. So under the Asaf Jah dynasty, the rulers of Hyderabad were known as the Nizams of Hyderabad. So you have to know the fact that Nizam-ul-Mulk of Hyderabad declared the Hyderabadi kingdom as independent from the Mughal Empire, and then after declaring his independence, he formed the Asaf Jah dynasty. Okay, now after forming this dynasty, all the rulers who came later on and became the rulers of Hyderabad were known, they were given a title, the Nizam of Hyderabad. Alright, okay, now later on the Nizam of Hyderabad accepted the British suzerainty, that means the superiority. In British India, Hyderabad was the largest princely state. Princely state means a state or an area which is ruled by the royal families. Okay, so when later on Hyderabad came under the Britishers, Hyderabad was one of the largest princely state under the Britishers. Now comes Mysore. Now when we are learning about Mysore, you have to know about two important rulers, the father and the son. The father's name is Hyder Ali, okay, or Hyder Ali, and the son's name is Tipu Sultan. Okay, now these two rulers were responsible for making Mysore into a very large and a powerful kingdom. In the mid 18th century, Mysore emerged as a powerful kingdom in South India. For about 40 years, the two rulers of Mysore, that is Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan, fought against the Marathas. Okay, now why are we talking about the Marathas and not the Mughals is because when the Mughals started declining, you have to remember it was the Marathas who started gaining power. Now, against the Marathas, now the Nizam of Hyderabad and the Britishers to safeguard their independence. That means Mysore, see, you may be realizing that there were many kingdoms, even though they were powerful, they had ultimately started coming under the Britishers. But it was Mysore who was the Mysore kingdom and its rulers who was so powerful that it took the Britishers many years to capture the kingdom of Mysore. Now, Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali fought against the Marathas, the Nizams of Hyderabad and Britishers to safeguard the independence. Hyder Ali was one of the ablest personalities in Indian history. Though illiterate, he was highly efficient in managing state affairs. He was tolerant of all religion. So this is one of the most important characteristics of a ruler. You have to be tolerant, you have to accept all the religion in your kingdom. Then he changed Mysore from a small principality into a big power. Now Hyder Ali died in the year 1782 and after that he was succeeded by his son Tipu Sultan, who was also known as the Tiger of Mysore. Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan fought 4 wars with the British and the allies, that is the Marathas and the Nizam of Hyderabad. Now these wars were known as the Anglo-Mysore War. Now why Anglo-Mysore War is because it was fought between the Britishers and the Mysore kingdom. And however, after fighting so many wars and defending his kingdom, however, ultimately Tipu suffered defeat in the 3rd and 4th Anglo-Mysore War. So he later laid down his life defeating his capital called Srirangapatnam from the British in the 4th Anglo-Mysore War in 1799. So in 1782 Hyder Ali died and in 1799 Tipu Sultan died. Now, okay, despite his never-ending struggle with the English, yet he ran efficient government and looked after the welfare of his people. Meaning that even though Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali, they had to continuously fight with the British, and not only with the British but also the other Indian kingdoms, they still looked after their people, their disciples, alright, the people in the kingdom efficiently, accepted all religion. There was no disparity, there was no differences between the other religions. He was a devout Muslim but was tolerant of all the religion. He had a spirit of innovation and curiosity. However, unlike his father, Tipu was less sagacious and practical. Okay, now the last kingdom is the Jats. In the early 17th century, the Jat farmers living around Delhi and Mathura were ill-treated by the Mughals. Now they fought the Mughals. After the initial defeat, the Jats succeeded in bringing a large territory under their control. Now because they were ill-treated or mistreated by the Mughal Empire or the rulers of the Mughal Empire, they were able to capture a huge territory and bring it under their control. They formed the Jat kingdom of Bharatpur, and Deeg was the capital of this kingdom. And Maharaja Surajmal was an illustrious Jat ruler. So one of the most famous ruler, like in Mysore, the Mysore kingdom, you remember Tipu Sultan. So when you are learning about the Jat kingdom, you have to remember one famous personality, that is Maharaja Surajmal. He was a great warrior and an able statesman, meaning that he was a very good administrator who looked after his people. So with this, we have come to the end of the chapter. So in the next class, I shall be doing the second chapter, and I'm going to send a few exercises in the WhatsApp class so that you'll be able to copy it and then bring it to school. All right, thank you.